So, over the course of this academic year, the 10th grade drama class has worked very hard to produce an adaptation of the 1994 film Forrest Gump with limited resources, 5 actors, and a very competent director, and a hardworking spirit that got us very far in terms of production. With an excellent script and detailed plan made within a month, by the end of the first quarter, we already began practicing our performance. Due to these unfortunate and unforeseen circumstances, we had to cancel our live performance, much to our dismay. Notwithstanding, we still will not let our hard work and all of our intricate efforts go to waste, and, as they say, the show must go on. Since we began our online classes, we have been pertinent and have carefully considered how to adapt our scene without sacrificing its quality. Firstly, we decided to adapt body language. Being in front of a webcam seriously limits ways body language is demonstrated in its conventional form. However, we managed to take this seemingly unadaptable concept and transformed it into what it can be done for us. Body language includes gestures and facial expressions. So now, us actors are working overtime to ensure that as expressive as we were with our bodies, we are now also conscious of them, but most importantly, we are also using them. It is very easy to forget that we're supposed to be doing extra daily movements, and we must, because at the end we won't be able to say Otsukaresama at the end of the performance, which is very unfortunate. And it means that we haven't given our all. So we have to truly try to adapt to our circumstances, try to do our best with gestures, and try to do our best with facial expressions in order to make up for what can't be done with the rest of our bodies in most of the scenes. Secondly, there is spatial awareness. Although we are confined to our screen, there are ways we have in implementing spatial awareness. Spatial awareness could be as simple as utilizing the Zoom background in a creative manner. So, if there's a bench over here, I'm going to stand over here because there's a bench, or I'm covering the sun, or I'm in front of the sun. So there's many ways that we can adapt this using our virtual backgrounds, using, maybe just our screen, or maybe if in our very room, like pointing to a poster, or having a glass, or having other of our props around us. And it could also be the virtual interaction between 2 or more characters. So for instance, when we do the famed running with Forrest Gump scene, our original plan was to run in all directions and occupying our stage while following Forrest the leader. There were obstacles to overcome, so we were going over things and under things and around things and moving things around, which was, sadly, it's something that can't exactly be simulated anymore, but we can still do our best given what we got. So we still have to wait for our turn to begin running, for example. We can't just start at the same time, so there is that interaction. We even have benefits, so we can use our chairs to run, so people move around in their chairs. We can also climb on things like our beds. So we have a lot of things that we can use to simulate as best as we can, given the circumstances that we're in right now. So so unfortunately there are things that we can't do exactly the same. We have been trying our best to use what we can do in order to make it as equally as good as possible. So following, we have our voices and the usage of them. So now, more than ever, we have to utilize articulation. When the body is obscured, or when most of it is obscured, our most useful tool is our voice. We all have microphones, which limit the projection aspect and dilute its importance because, if you speak at a regular volume, you should be heard by everyone. But that still doesn't mean that it's still a very essential tool for an actor. So we are still trying our best to make sure that we're projecting properly and we're articulating well and using correct tone, correct diction. So it's very essential to the actor. And on the other hand, articulation is more valuable now than ever. You could argue that. We are working hard to make sure that everything we say is clear, our emotions can be heard via our speech, and that our lines are delivered masterfully and objectively, just to make sure that everything can be understood and more than just words can be conveyed. So it's not just speaking, it's also trying to pass on a message using what is available, given, all this. So due to the Zoom layout, which brings me to the following, so due to the Zoom layout and its way of function, it's very difficult to interact with other people, like, pointing up or pointing to the side, because the layout is different for everyone. However, we still try to maintain eye contact, so, looking right at the cameras and trying to simulate that kind of connection between us and our fellow actors. And we're working really hard to ensure that all our emotions are captured and transmitted properly. So our interaction as a whole is more limited, but that doesn't mean that we're not able to make up for it by being clear in our lines and in our actions. So, if you do this, it's a very clear symbol depending on, but at the same time, the person has to work with you and they have to say something that's going to allow you to make a proper gesture. So it's a little bit difficult, but it's a lot of teamwork. And thankfully, we worked really hard while we were still at school. So we know how each other work. We know how to understand each other, which I believe is also very essential for. It's vital, especially now. So that's great. So which brings me to the next aspect, which is the emotion aspect. So the emotion aspect ties in with a lot of these other counterparts. Our emotions ought to be conveyed with our visible actions, what can be seen with our bodies, and our facial expressions. So an example would be my scene. I play Lieutenant Dan Taylor, a tough and ruthless Army lieutenant who has little patience, is on the edge almost all the time. I have done what I can to adapt my scene and paint an accurate picture of my character, since he is a pretty expressive person. Now the audience can't be in full view of my body and truly see my character's posture because, or the way he carries himself, which is quite a shame, but at the same time, I believe that I trust myself that I can make that work somehow. But I still think that they can still hear my voice. The audience might not be able to see most of my body for most of the time, but they can still see my voice. They can still get a good idea of how I'm portraying him based on how I react to the other characters, based on the intensity of my eye contact, and by the overall projection of him using whatever means available. The case is the same for the somber scene where Forrest loses his mother. It's the same. So in that scene, the actors present have a duty to make the online scene as melancholic and as heart-wrenching as it would be in person. So Kate and Pablo, which play the mother and Forrest respectively, they have to work hard to be able to make the scene memorable and also, make the person feel sad rather than just standing there and being like, mama, what, it has to be deep. And that's a challenge for all of us because we all have very intricate characters, people who are very developed. So it's quite complicated, but we've all been practicing a lot, and we're very committed to our roles. So I believe that is something which has helped us out a lot. So now I will perform two of my lines in order to hopefully demonstrate these aspects, emotion, voice, body language, interaction, and spatial awareness. So here I have one of my costume ideas, and also my hat, which is also a Vietnam War hat, which I think is very convenient. So the line is, "Ho! Get your hands down! Do not salute me! There are gosh darn snipers all around this area who would love to grease an officer. I'm Lieutenant Dan Taylor. Welcome to the 4th Platoon." So this line demonstrates my character's attitude, his cutthroat behavior, the way he gesticulates when he speaks, which I think is something that now more than ever has to be done. The way that he tells them to, put your hands down, or I'm Lieutenant Dan Taylor, me, I'm powerful. And also how he expects others to interact and to react with him. So I think that this is a good line that I've been working on hard to try to make it very, hard-hitting for anyone who's watching. Another line would be, 2, stand in order to this platoon. 1, take good care of your feet. 2, try not to do anything stupid like getting yourself killed. So this line further demonstrates how my character carries himself, how he expects others to do so, and how he uses his voice and tone to convey a message and not just say a line. I believe the situation is, and so yeah, that's how I would say that I've been trying to incorporate these aspects, which have been very important to the way that we're going to be performing this. Now it's been a challenge, but I think we've all been doing a good job, and when we're all able to put that all together, I think it'll turn out into a very, very solid performance. And so my personal take on this is that I think it is in many ways both a blessing and a curse. I don't even want to say that word, but it's something that has been it's been an obstacle in many ways. And in many ways, it's very disheartening that we don't get to perform this scene that we worked incredibly hard on, for months and months and months. But on the other hand, we also get to expand our horizons and try something completely new and innovative that we wouldn't ever have gotten the opportunity to do otherwise. We never would have been like, okay, we're going to perform from our houses and not at school in front of everyone. So I believe that we should keep a positive outlook and continue working hard, as it'll all be worth it in the end. And yes, thank you. Drama.